Folks, if I told you that the Wi-Fi in your home began with a sketch on a simple napkin by a Hollywood movie star, would you believe it? Tonight, we unlock a door that was once sealed shut. Hedy Lamarr.
If I told you that the Wi-Fi in your home, the tiny green light blinking in the corner of the room, did not only come from lab engineers, but began with the idea of a Hollywood movie star, would you believe it? If I told you that, beneath the applause on the red carpet and the endless questions about who designed your dress, there was a woman quietly asking herself, how can a signal escape the hand that wants to strangle it? And if I told you she once sketched that idea on a simple napkin, and the world went on to use it while forgetting to say her name, whose side would you choose? Tonight, we open a door that people once locked shut. Inside is the story of Hedy Lamarr, so beautiful that everyone told her to keep quiet, and so intelligent that they were afraid of what would happen if she spoke. Are you ready? Because by the end of this episode, you may be asking yourself, have I been surfing the internet thanks to the mind of a muse the whole world chose not to hear? Hollywood that night shone like an artificial sky. Camera flashes burst, and Hedy's name was thrown into the air like confetti. Hedy, Hedy, over here. She smiled. That smile was a zipper, pulled shut over everything that wanted to fly out of her mouth. The questions, the ideas, the shards of anger. A reporter shoved a microphone close. Hedy, what is your secret to glowing skin? Another voice cut in. Who designed your dress? No one asked. What do you think about the war at sea? Sea wind swept through. Somewhere far away, metal tore through water with a low roar. No one heard it, or they thought it was a sound effect. Hedy looked straight into the camera lens and met her own eyes there. They were not the eyes of a photograph. They were the eyes of someone who wanted to work. Give us a smile. She smiled, and inside that smile was a silent room where an idea beat its wings like a frightened bird that could not find a window before the red carpet. Hedy knew the routine of locked rooms, a long dinner table, crystal glasses glittering, men speaking in the voices of people who held the keys, contracts, weapons, secrets. She sat there, invited like a decoration. A gentle hand rested on her shoulder, soft and commanding at the same time. If you are beautiful, be quiet. Quiet did not only mean do not speak. It meant do not think, do not dream, do not ask. Late at night, she faced the mirror. The person in the mirror was not the star on the poster. She was a born engineer trapped in an evening gown. She remembered taking apart her watch just to hear its metal heart beating. She remembered the feeling of an idea clicking into a problem the way a key fits a lock. If you are beautiful, be quiet. She repeated the words, but her voice had changed. If you are beautiful, then do. That night, she made her decision. She would open the door, even if she had to break the lock. The CAF was small, a scarred wooden table, cigarette smoke drawing circles that looked exactly like a signal gone off beat. A slender man was talking with delight about player pianos and the rolls of punched paper that made the keys dance as if pulled by invisible strings. Hedy sat down, not because she was famous, but because she heard the word dance. You make the keys dance? The man smiled. And you make a room fall silent. No, they force the room to be silent. I want sound to escape in that moment. Two people out of step looked at each other and finally found the beat. He was George Antheil, an eccentric composer. She was Hedy, an actress who refused to be anyone's ornament. They talked about rhythm. They talked about tricking the ear, about how a change at the exact right moment makes the pursuer stumble. Have you ever thought, Hedy tilted her head, if the thing being chased keeps dancing from note to note, the one chasing will never tune in fast enough. George set down his spoon. His eyes shifted from playful to serious. You are not talking about music. I am thinking about the ships at sea. For the first time in years, Hedy felt someone truly listening to her mind, not her beauty. Rain tapped the window like heaven's little code. The CAF emptied. The yellow light lowered. Hedy pulled out a plain white napkin and a pencil. George drew his chair close. You said the punch paper changes notes on a schedule. I am thinking, what if a signal had a schedule of its own? A schedule for how it jumps? It would slip out of the grip that tries to crush it. George let out a laugh like he had just swallowed lightning. And on the other side, there is the same schedule. The two sides would dance together. From the outside, all anyone would see is chaos, Hedy nodded. A dance to mislead death, they drew. Not a complicated blueprint. Just small squares and dots like notes on a staff. Lines like paths and life could use to escape. Then silence. Not the silence of, if you are beautiful, be quiet. The silence of an idea falling exactly into place. No one will believe this, George said. Then let us not ask them to believe, Hedy answered, her eyes bright. Let us submit it, and let time be our lawyer. Are you not afraid of being laughed at? I am more afraid of people out there dying, if you listen closely. That answer is the axis of Hedy's heart. From being treated like an object to insisting on being useful. They sealed a wordless pact. Submit it tomorrow. Submit it even if they are rejected. Submit it even if they are mocked. Because not submitting would be the only true silence. The review room was bright and cold. Shirt collars were as stiff as the beliefs inside them. Hedy presented slowly and clearly. She did not display her beauty. She showed only her reason. I want strangers to live, she said. There was a nod, a polite smile, and then a line as light and sharp as a knife. This is an interesting idea, ma'am, but you can best serve the country by standing on a stage and helping us sell buns. Do you hear it? That was a suspended sentence. Not a no, a be quiet. In Hedy's mind, two doors swung shut. One led to intellect, the other to dignity. She took a deep breath. If that is what you want, we will donate it. Smiles bloomed. Very patriotic. Outside, the wind was dry and harsh. George stayed quiet. Finally, he whispered. We did everything we could. Hedy looked up at the bare sky. Not yet, she said. Here is where her psychology flipped. She did not break. She hardened. If glory is a dress that is too tight, I will wear anonymity. They want me to raise money. I will raise money. But my idea, I will keep alive, even if no one says my name. The idea must be said from then on. Hedy lived two lives in one body. By day, the red carpet, applause, smiles, microphones, empty questions. By night, the warm desk lamp, pen and paper, lines of notes, and private fears. She feared being forgotten. She feared being wrong. She feared that she might be an illusion in her own life. But the greatest fear was doing nothing. A short handwritten letter arrived. My family has someone at sea. Thank you for wanting to save people. Just knowing that someone out there is thinking about us makes us less afraid. Hedy held the letter like a lifeline thrown back into her own heart. She told herself, no one really knows they are on the right road. But I know why I cannot turn back. Every time she stood on a fundraising stage, she looked at the crowd as if she were looking at an army with no names. They were not an audience. They were people who needed to live, dressed in a glittering gown. Hedy stood in the wings before stepping into the lights. She placed a hand over her heart. Instead of asking for applause, she whispered a hope for a stranger. Donation was a word that troubled her. It meant giving up glory. It did not mean giving up the truth. The truth was this. She had thought of it. She had written it down. She had submitted it. And even if her name was hidden, the idea would find its path. That night, when the music rose, Hedy walked onto the stage with a smile that was no longer a zipper. It was a flashlight. She swept it across the faces looking at her, as if to say, I see you. Hands clapped below, and this time there was a different note in the sound. It was gratitude for a woman who refused to give up. There were nights Hedy could not sleep. She sat by the window and turned on the radio. The static rustled like rain, tapping at her ear. Every little hiss was a question. Why must a right idea wait for the right time to be called right? She answered with quiet work. She protected the human part of herself from being worn down by the role the world handed her. In those nights alone with the static, Hedy trained a new kind of patience, the patience for justice that arrives late. Tomorrow, someone would ask again, Hedy, what shade of lipstick is that? She would smile, not because she was praised for beauty, but because of a strange truth. She knew they were late, while you are still on time, because you are here, listening to this story. Act I closes on a door slightly ajar. A movie star who was taught to be silent is now practicing a different kind of silence, the kind that gets things done. An idea that was mocked is now being kept alive by stubborn courage. A world that loves to say the names of the beautiful has ignored the name of the brilliant. Let this question keep you up a little while. If glory comes too early, will we miss what matters? If it comes too late, do we have the heart to wait? For Hedy, the answer was, I will wait, because some inventions are born under stage lights, but they grow up in the dark. In the morning, she puts on a carefully pressed smile like a hat. At night, she takes it off and sets it on the table beside a pencil worn down to a nub. By day, Hedy is the spotlight, greetings, autographs, quick jokes that make a ballroom bloom. By night, Hedy is the lamp, thin lines of notes like leaf veins, an old napkin, the warm smell of paper, and the clock ticking a restless beat. Sometimes, between those two lives, she catches her reflection in a hallway mirror and sees a woman split in two. One half knows how to walk to the rhythm of applause. The other half is learning how to be silent without disappearing. The beautiful should be quiet keeps returning from the past, but each time it comes back, it is weaker. Hedy has learned another kind of quiet. Quiet to work, quiet to endure. One evening, she opens a small wooden box. Inside are scraps of paper, lines of handwriting, a few round dots like notes, the frayed corner of a napkin. These are the keepsakes of persistence. She whispers to herself, if no one will say the name, I will speak the name of the idea every night. Then she reads her own words out loud, as if reading the name of a friend who is fading and needs to be held in place by sound. By day, when someone asks, Hedy, who made your dress? She smiles and answers, from a place wide enough for me to breathe. No one understands, and she does not need them to. One grey afternoon, our letter arrives. The envelope carries no perfume, only the damp smell of rain in the paper. The handwriting wobbles. Dear Madam, my husband is at sea. I do not know if you are an angel or a movie star. I only know you want us to live. Thank you for that. Hedy places the letter on the table. Next to it sits an empty chair, the chair where, whenever she speaks about her idea, someone says, save it for later. She remembers rooms full of people, but empty of listening. She once thought being heard meant being approved. Now she understands that being heard begins with not silencing herself. That night, she steps onto the balcony. The distant city looks like a necklace spilled across velvet. She does not pray for fireworks. She prays for a longer life for the idea she has already named. How far can we go without anyone waving us on? She asks herself. A star falls slowly, like a comma written across the sky. She whispers, far enough not to turn back. The theater is packed tight like an overstuffed suitcase. On stage, the spotlight makes dust glitter like upside-down rain. Hedy walks out. Applause rises like surf. She stands still for a few seconds, just long enough to hear what is inside that sound. Not all of it is cheering. Somewhere in it is the sound of people who want to live. Ladies and gentlemen, she begins. There are great things that cross our lives with a very small beep. The room hesitates. Those who came for dress talk are puzzled. Those with loved ones at sea lift their heads. Tonight, we are going to say the name of hope, she says. For the first time, her smile is no longer a zipper. It is a flashlight sweeping across faces, as if searching for someone in the dark to pull closer. She does not tell a technical story. She tells the story of an idea finding its path through noise. She does not talk about being rejected. She talks about not giving up. Back in the wings, a woman hugs her and cries softly, as if afraid to spill something fragile. Thank you for not quitting, Hedy nods. Thank you for listening. The next morning, the papers arrive. Movie star dreams of saving the world. The period at the end sits on the page like a smirk. Hedy finishes reading and folds the paper. She does not stay angry. She does not defend herself. She pours tea and watches the steam curl into little escape routes. Bad news is still news, she murmurs. It reminds me not to live for the headline. Someone brings her the article, waiting for a reaction. Are you not upset? I am, she says honestly. But being upset is moving sideways. Living is moving forward. That answer earned no applause. But it leaves a path. One evening, she and George meet again at the old CAF. The table is still scarred, the yellow light still low, and the rain still tapping out a code. We have lost, George says. At least for now. Hedy stirs her tea. The spoon touches the cup with tiny clicks like Morse code. Then we will learn to lose without retreating. Maybe no one will remember your name. Maybe. She smiles. But an idea does not need a business card. They sit in quiet. The romantic would call it sadness. The practical would call it a pause. Hedy calls it a heartbeat's breath before jumping to the next note in a long dance named Patience. Years we've passed like electrical cables, silent, but carrying a hidden current. People start talking about new systems, technologies that look exactly like the ones she once sketched without speaking her name. News reaches Hedy like a breeze. It does not knock. It slips through the curtain. Have you heard? They are using something that also jumps. She nods. I hear the wind, she says. Do you feel wronged? Yes, but the world is not a courtroom. It is a hospital, where the first question is not, was the procedure perfect, but did people survive? It sounds like forgiveness, but it is really a choice of direction. But lives before pride. It is a kind of strength that only those who have once been left outside the door truly understand. Another night, Hedy stands on the red carpet again. Everything looks the same. Flashes, people shouting her name, blunt questions. But inside her, something small has shifted, like the movement of a star only an astronomer would notice. She walks half a beat slower. She looks deep into faces that once were only streaks of light, and she sees eyes filled with fear of loss, fear of the news, fear of a future that feels unfamiliar. Can you give us a smile? She smiles, not for a contract, but as a promise to those eyes. I will keep going. Even if they forget my name, I will keep going. That night at home, she opens the wooden box, takes out the old napkin, and lays it over her heart. The paper warms to her pulse. She realizes she is no longer walking alone. An idea nourished by persistence finds allies in places no one expects. Then the day that no one scheduled finally arrives. People prove that the dancing path of a signal helps it escape hands that try to choke it. The new systems are safer and more resilient against noise and threats. Whose name is celebrated? Not Hedy's. She reads the news and sets the paper down. She does not pop champagne. She does not cry. She walks to the window. The city still glows like an artificial sky. And inside that glow, she hears a very small sound. Beep. It is the sound of connection to strangers reaching each other without a break. That is enough, she says. Not enough. I give up. Enough. I have won, in my own way. This is a victory with no fireworks. This is a victory with no stage. This victory needs only one word, live. From that moment, the counter inside her stops. She no longer counts the times she was misunderstood or forgotten. She begins to count the connections she cannot name, but knows are real. Like the little light blinking in the corner of your room tonight. Someone asks. If you could do it over, would you fight for recognition to the very end? Hedy smiles, calm as a lake after rain. I would fight to the point where I do not crack the face of the truth. What if they still do not say your name? Then I will say the larger name, the name of the idea. A name belongs to one person. An idea belongs to everyone who needs it. In that answer, you can hear the underdog turning the table, from begging to be seen to choosing to look at what matters most. From me to us, from beauty to life. Act 2 closes with a strange kind of brightness, shining without needing a stage. Hedy does not break down the door by screaming. She stands beside it, breath steady, and changes the lock. She understands that some victories arrive late not because we are weak, but because the world needs time to hear a very small sound. That sound is a beep. That sound is the Wi-Fi in your home. That sound is an idea that survived mockery and closed doors. The night is calm, like a page already turned. In an ordinary room, a small green light blinks in rhythm. Beep, beep. There are no fireworks. There is no red carpet. There is only the glow of a modem. You pick up your phone. A text arrives. Photos load. A call connects. Somewhere far away, someone is no longer alone. Seen through the world's eyes, it is technology. Seen through Hedy's eyes, it is a promise kept. She once told herself, as long as people out there live, I will accept being nameless. Now, every time a signal slips through a thick wall, that old promise is kept one more time. Imagine a map in the sky. Every point of light is a person, a home, a hospital, a classroom, a call for help. When 2 points touch, a thin line appears. That line might mean, I made it, MOM, sweetheart. I am okay. I can hear you. We saved one more patient. Those thin lines weave into a net. No one sees the thread. Everyone feels the embrace. Hedy did not build monuments. She built bridges. Each bridge is small, but it crosses the right gap, the distance between fear and trust. Every legacy comes with a bill. Hedy's bill was made of empty spaces. The blank space in articles that did not say her name. The empty space at ceremonies where she was not invited. The empty space in a room when she read good news with no one there to open champagne. Some nights she asked, have I been too stubborn? Then she answered, if I were not stubborn. The idea would have gone soft under their laughter. She learned to love the empty spaces the way a gardener loves the spaces between plants so that something else can grow. Time likes to take the long way around. Eventually, it comes back and knocks on the door. Knock, knock. People start rereading old files, speaking the names that were once forgotten. Hedy sits in a bright room. On the table are a few old photos, a page gone yellow with age, and a napkin pressed flat like a butterfly. Someone offers congratulations. Someone else gives credit on behalf of a time that arrived late. She smiles without bitterness and without euphoria. Thank you, she says. But the idea was called by its true name. Before I was every time two strangers reached each other without being cut off. Glory that arrives late does not erase the cost, but it stamps a seal on faith. What is right even if it is slow still wins? If Hedy left 3 keys, what doors would they open? Key number 1. Do not mistake silence for surrender. There are moments when we are quiet not because we are afraid, but because we are working. Key number 2. Big ideas do not ask for credentials. Intelligence does not need an invitation. It goes wherever people need a better life. Key number 3. Choose what is right for the long run over what is right now. Sometimes we are not recognized at the right time. Ask yourself, is my right thing long enough to wait for the world? Those 3 small keys sound like simple sentences, but they unlock a lifetime of persistence. If Hedy wrote a letter to you, the one being called by the wrong name, it might go like this. I know what it feels like to stand in a crowded room where listening is missing. I know the cold of if you are beautiful, be quiet, and the sad smell of mocking headlines. If you have an idea that makes your heart beat differently, do not let them zip up your smile. Learn a different kind of quiet to work, quiet to last. Find one person who really listens. You do not need many, only the right one. Write it down on a napkin, in the margin of a notebook, on the back of a train ticket, right, so the idea can see itself. And when they refuse to say your name, say the larger name, the name of the idea. Because one day, a small green light in some room will blink a thank you to you. The letter folds closed. It needs no stamp. The right person will know it is theirs. Hedy stands before a mirror, not to fix her makeup, but to look again at a decision. I choose to be a maker, not only someone who is looked at from then on. The mirror is no longer just for appearance. It is where she renews her courage. Whenever doubt comes close, she asks, if I do not act today, who loses? The answer always pulls her forward. The people out there, the ones she has not met yet, but who already need her. One day, the auditorium is quiet. There is no applause. There are no cameras. But the small green light in the corner keeps blinking. Beep, beep. With every blink, one connection is saved from getting lost. With every blink, an idea is reborn in someone else's life. With every blink, an invisible thank you crosses the air. The stage lights went dark long ago. The signal did not. Now the door is open. The rest is your footsteps. Will you let others call you by the wrong name? Or will you name the right thing yourself? Will you live for applause? Or live so that a small green light blinks in the corner of rooms where people you have never met feel less alone? Will you choose beautiful and quiet, or beautiful and doing? Answer, not for me, but with one small action you will take tonight. Maybe you will write on a napkin. Maybe you will speak the right name of an idea. Maybe you will open a door for someone who is being called by the wrong name. Every great legacy begins that way, with one small move in the dark. They once said Hedy Lamarr was a dreamer. They once called her a muse. You have just heard the story of someone who chose persistence over earrings, and saving lives over waiting for fireworks. Now it is your turn. Do you call Hedy Lamarr a genius or a madwoman? Cast your vote and leave one line. The last time you were called by the wrong name, what did you do to call your own name correctly?